Welcome to Leading Large. I'm Anna Roussos, and this podcast is designed to empower you with the skills and mindset necessary to excel your career within the construction, property, engineering, and architecture sectors. Whether you're embarking on a professional journey or seeking guidance, tune in every fortnight as myself and industry leaders will share practical strategies, tips, and insights to help you gain clarity and propel your career forward with purpose. Leading Large is your regular dose of inspiration and a guide to assist you in unlocking your full potential. I'm thrilled to have you on this journey. This is Leading Large with Anna Roussos. Today, I'm pleased to announce our remarkable guest, Zoe King, Director at Cox Architecture. Zoe is a multifaceted designer whose innovative approach is transforming spaces across major Australian and New Zealand cities. Zoe's presence in the Adelaide team at Cox is pivotal, guiding projects with an integral and enthusiastic approach that values both creativity and practicality. Her skills in client liaison, business development, and design concept consistently drive project towards achieving a common goal. Please join us as we dive into a conversation with Zoe King about her influential career, her innovative approach to design, and how she continues to challenge the status quo in the world of architecture. Zoe, hello, welcome to Leading Large. Thank you so much for being here today. I am really excited to learn everything about you and what you've done in your career and how you've moved into a leadership role within Cox Architecture. But before we get into it, I would love to know what made you go into architecture as a career. So take us right back to over 20 years ago.
This is it's longer than 20 years actually. This is a journey. Well, let's go there.
Yeah.
So at school, I had a huge passion for drama. And it was actually a subject that I did incredibly well in at school. I always had a passion for design and the arts, but I don't know how it came about, but I did an elective in year 11 and that kind of then just went into doing year 12 drama, and I was the production manager, stage manager for our year 12 play. So not acting, management.
Yeah.
And behind the scenes, and I decided right then and there.
Love it how you just said not acting. No, managing.
No acting, all the managing. I decided there was possibly a role for me to go to NIDA and do something in stage management and theatre, or maybe some kind of production, kind of television production kind of thing. So I put in an application to go to Flinders University then, because I thought NIDA might be a bit too scary. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to Sydney, and decided that I was going to embark on this completely random career that my parents were a bit worried about because it wasn't, law or being a doctor or, the accountant kind of stuff. I got to Flinders. It was a really hot day. I'd had a really great kind of summer break. I'd broken up with a boyfriend that I'd had for way too long, and I'd had all this
I'm actually
fun.
really intrigued how you know the detail of all of this.
Because it was an epic moment.
Yeah.
So broke up with a boyfriend, going to university. It was really hot. I had a horrible old rubbish car. I was about to swear. A rubbish car, no air conditioning. I don't think it even had windscreen wipers. It was it cost about $500. Driving to Flinders, it was so far away. I lived in the eastern suburbs, and it was just this epic drive, which is not really a big drive at all. Got there, found a car park, went to a lecture, and I started thinking, do I really want to do this right now? I'm not sure about this. And this thing kept on rolling around with me all day. I got to the end of the day and actually just thought,
that's not quite right.
I don't think I want to be here. So then I asked someone, how do you get out of being at university? And they said, I think it's called deferring. I was like, okay, where do I do that? And I went down to this office, which is now a beautiful new building. And I walked in there, I said, I need to defer from university. And they said, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm really sure this isn't for me. Filled out the forms, put the forms in, and then just thought, oh, heck, what am I going to do? How am I going to tell mum and dad that I'm not at uni? I was going to say, did you actually have a conversation? No conversation. No. Just, I'm doing this. There was no internet back then. It was all papers. So I thought, okay, plan of attack is get a paper, find out if there are any jobs, have a plan before I go and tell mum and dad that this is a deal. So I went and grabbed the paper from the cafe, sat down, circled a few things, and in that paper there was an ad for being an au pair in America or Europe. And I thought, I love America. I'd love to go. I'd been there on a holiday. I'd love to go back to America. I'm going to be an au pair for a year. It'll be my gap year for me to work out what I'm going to do. So I did that, drove to Dad's office, sat in his office and said, okay, so I've just done so. He said, well, aren't you supposed to be at university? I'm not, I'm here. And I said, I'm really scared to tell you this, but I've deferred from university. And he said, what does that mean? I said, I'm not going. He's like, okay, so how are we going to tell Mum? And so
I love you went to Dad first. Yeah, I would go to Mum first over my dad.
Yeah, no, Mum was always so keen for me to go to university, because she came from a generation where women were never, actually when she was out of school, they weren't allowed, to do extra study. It was like, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a nurse, otherwise, you need to be a mother. So she was always about, you have to go to university, you need an education, education is everything. So I was terrified to tell Mum. Anyway, she came down to Dad's office. I told her what I'd done. She burst into tears, and then she said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know, keep working at Faster Pasta for a bit. And she said, Faster Pasta is not going to take you anywhere. I was working at Faster Pasta Burnside. And I said, but I've got this idea that I could go overseas. I could go overseas. There's this job. It's, it's just down the road in Norwood. Do you want to come with me? Let's investigate it. She's like, oh, as in a gap year? I'm like, yeah, go overseas, be a nanny. I love kids. I'd been working at a childcare centre, Osh Place, for many years, and so I thought, okay. She got involved and got excited about it. And within about 3 months, I had gone to the States, packed my bags up at 19, left, got there, and went, what am I doing? This is crazy. I'm all by myself. But it was extraordinary.
You were there for the year?
2 years in the end.
2 years. You stuck it out.
And because of that move, I was in what they call a gated community in Kansas City, Overland Park. Very, very suburban, Midwest American. Like, it was such a culture shock for me. I wasn't expecting it to be such a culture shock. I was expecting it to be very similar to Australia, but it was not, Midwest America. Really, in some instances, incredibly right-wing, and, there's cowboys walking around with hats and boots and all sorts of things, which I found very foreign. And in this gated community, we drove in, I'll never forget driving in the first time, and every single house looked the same. It was kind of like Edward Scissorhands, but not all of the colour. And I just thought, this is so peculiar, so random. Anyway, stuck it out for 6 months. And one day in the house, I was sitting there and I think eating my lunch on the couch, and I just thought, this is such a woeful interior. We weren't allowed to use this room. It was the white room, only for special occasions. Like these are huge, big houses. So the kids, 2 kids, parents, like loaded.
Yeah, set up.
The white room, the dining room, never allowed to go in there. I'm in this, just god-awful other space. It was all brown, and I just been thinking, this is awful. And I just had this moment. I was like, this is what I need to do with my life. Yeah. I want to be a designer. I loved art and design. I had an incredible design teacher at Ironsbury College who back then, this is showing my age, did everything through a projector, and he had his slides that he would share with us from his holidays in Europe, and in particular the Bauhaus movement. And I became completely obsessed with mid-century modern design. And I just was just like, oh.
Well, that actually puts me together. Now I can see why your office is designed the way it is.
Yeah. It's a real
bringing that back.
Yeah, real passion.
Yeah.
And I called Mum and said, can you find out if there's any kind of courses that are interior design based, architecture based? I'm sure there's architecture at Adelaide, but I don't think it's going to be quite right. See if there's anything about, I don't know, 25 minutes, she'd call back, yes, there's a course. It's called interior architecture. And I'm like, oh, well, that's the best of both worlds. And I was signed up within 4 weeks. And then she was just on the bat phone every day. Like, when are you coming home? You've got to come home. You've got to come home. You have to be home. 21st birthday. This is the other thing, moving to America at 19, can't drink alcohol.
Oh.
You don't even, I just got, I just got the ability to go to the clubs and pubs.
Yeah.
You go to America, oh no, you're not allowed to do it. So Mum's like, come home and then you can have a drink. And also you can get studying. So I did that at 21 and then started studying architecture.
It's amazing because, when I finished school as well, so I didn't know what I wanted to do. So my parents were pretty full on and intense about me doing my studies because they migrated from Poland, and I always get the thing that, we've done all this to give you a better quality life. And I got into science law and I didn't even step foot into the campus. I just was like, no, I don't think this is right for me. And I went to Europe to play tennis. Yeah.
Did you?
Random. At 18, went to play tennis.
So you clearly, you're very good at it.
I was okay. I wasn't ever, no grand opens for me. But I came back and then went into the retail field because I still didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. And I always knew that I wanted to help people. So I somehow stumbled into this world of recruitment, and I do see it as a big opportunity to help people. But it's amazing how many young people go into different university courses and not really knowing what they're about or whether they're going to really love what they do. And it's clear, and we'll talk about this further, but you're an impressive interiors architect, an amazing director, and I think that does have something to say is because you've actually followed something that you're really passionate about. Yeah. And if you love something, you're naturally going to be really good at it, I think.
I think it's a blessing.
People need to take time before they just work out what they're going to do. So one thing I looked at, so you've come back home, you've gone and studied, and there was an architectural studio that you initially joined, which was Hamilton Kennedy, which I've never heard of before. So I'm guessing they were a smaller.
So not architecture.
No, just interiors?
No. Industrial designers.
Oh, wow. Even different again. Yeah. So you weren't there too long, but they were a small practice.
Yeah, very small practice. I'm pretty sure they're still knocking about. So their main gig was exhibition design, and Greg Hamilton was my mentor at university. So
okay, so there's the connection.
So he had done little smaller interior fit outs for mates, really, like Flying Fish Cafe down at Victor, and other at the time Melt many moons ago, and then I had sort of thought I might want to do exhibition design, not have a focus on big architectural practice. And he said, look, I've got heaps of work on. Why don't you come and work for me? It can just be casual. It doesn't have to be, it was straight out of uni, so it's just through the summer holidays. And then I actually really loved it and just stayed there for quite some time. But
so you were there beyond 9 months. I've got here that you only
But then I got sick.
Oh, right. Okay. So this is something that we were going to actually discuss because you've had an amazing career journey, but through that you've also had a major health battle. And it's nothing that we haven't really spoken about too much in the past, but I'd love to know a little bit more about what happened. And how old were you at the time? And
I was 26.
26, so a baby.
Yeah, so was so excited about finally being independent. Probably, graduating a bit later than I had ever thought I would graduate from uni, but I'd had all this life experience, which I think was so beneficial to me because I could find the passion, find out what I really wanted to do. And I was so ready to just to go for it. And Hamilton Kennedy gave me that opportunity to start there, but I had actually always in the back of my brain I was going to go to Melbourne. My best friend and I had this plan attached. We're going to go to Melbourne. We're going to live it up. We're going to be Melbourneites and do all the things. But I was just trying to save some money to begin with, and so that's why the Hamilton Kennedy position was really great. And so at sort of towards the end of uni, I was a runner. Yeah. That was my way of getting rid of all the stress. I used to live in Beaumont, and I would run all the way down around Hazelwood Park and then all the way back home, and sometimes run all the way to Waterfall Gully and then run back up.
Intense, Zoe.
With my dog at the time, but it was my outlet and I loved it. And I used to ride a bike as well. I don't reckon I'd even make it up the hill these days. But I started fainting just randomly, and I didn't tell anyone. I was like, this is weird. Fell off my bike.
Oh my gosh,
this isn't good. Then running through the park, I'd wake up and the dog was on top of me. And about the fourth or fifth time this happened, I thought I probably should tell someone this. And I started panting when I was going upstairs and this is really weird. I must be so unfit. So I was push myself, do more and more exercise. And then I just had I basically collapsed one day and They thought it originally was pollens getting into my lungs. They thought it was asthma and other things. But then I collapsed, rushed to hospital, was there for a week trying to work out what was wrong with me. They thought there was a hole in my heart, which is what they were wanting to find. But in fact, instead, it was this really rare disease, which is pulmonary hypertension, which is basically a lung and heart function issue.
Yeah.
And so at that moment, it was pretty devastating.
Is that something that you've always had? Like,
No.
no, not from birth, genetic. It's just something that's just
well, it would have always been
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have always, well, they don't know. So it's idiopathic, so they don't know a lot. It could have been. I've had my genes tested and everything, so it's they don't really know where it came from. It could have been environmental. They just don't know. It's just really unfortunate. But at that time, there wasn't a lot of hope, and the way it was expressed to me was that actually you're going to be lucky to reach your 30th birthday. There's not a lot we can do. There's medicines, but it's pretty early days with some of the drugs that we can use for you. They're all untested. They're not even on PBS, so they're going to be really expensive.
So what does it actually mean, Zoe, that your heart and your lungs they're just not functioning?
So there's an artery in my heart that's basically got calcium within it, and so when the blood's trying to pump through it, it can't get into the lungs, and then there's I won't go into it too much. It's very scientific, but
oh my gosh.
So there's nothing, like they can't even there's nothing they can do other than this is probably the hardest part. I will eventually probably have to have a heart and lung transplant at some point.
Wow.
Anyway, there's always a right side of these things. So, they said, we don't think you'll get to 30. If you get to 40, you'll be really lucky. Everything that you've ever planned to do or thought you were going to do, you're going to need to rethink it because life's now different. So, really devastating. So, I stopped working at Hamilton Kennedy because I couldn't actually breathe. It went from being just kind of noticeable to I can't get around. I couldn't walk up our stairs at home. I couldn't walk up, I would have to shuffle like a little old lady up the hallway.
Wow, so extreme. So that must have felt so quick as well.
It was horrible. You just, you think all the things you'd ever planned are here, and now everything's just been taken away. This. Yeah.
So with that, where I can relate, the anxiety and the fear. Yeah. Right. So that never goes away. No. And I'm sure that's also in the back of your mind if you've been told certain things. And and as much as I'm in remission, like you say, you don't know. Yeah. Like this for me also, I felt great. The next day I was told I was dying. Yeah. How long was it until you returned back to work? And what steps did you take mentally to be able to actually physically go, I'm going to be okay? Because, this is your passion and you want to feel normal, and that's the same thing. They go, okay, this is a new normal, you've got to rethink your life now. So how did you start to create a bit more normal back in your life? Because then you sort of went to Grieve Gillette, So and a part-time capacity, I'm guessing, or something. A part-time capacity at GG, or
I actually got onto medication. I had to do all these tests, got onto the medication. By the time I got onto the medication, it had been granted by PBS. So instead of it being a $68,000 year treatment, it was $71 a bottle plus some other things that they teamed up with this particular drug. Started taking the drug, felt well, at least to the point that I felt like I could go back to work. Went back to Hamilton Kennedy part-time, but my dear uncle Peter Jensen, who you might know of, Jensen Planning, now Jensen Plus. So he started that practice. He was once with Hassel. He then took off and did his own thing. So highly respected planner, but also, in the architectural world, came to me after Christmas show or something and sat me down and said, I just don't think you're doing the right thing. Like you've got this new, you've got an opportunity here. We thought we were going to lose you. You're really well. Well, you're well as you can be. Yeah. Hamilton Kennedy isn't for you. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? He's like,
he's doing the hard sell.
It's an industrial design group. Like you're never going to get out of it what you should be getting out of it from your degree. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm loving it. They're such great people. He's like, it doesn't matter about the people. You need to think about your career. And I was just like, well, it's a bit hard to think about a career, Anyway, he said, I've got these guys that I know. They're great. Their name's Steve and Paul. They're looking for an interior designer. Why don't you just go have a chat with them? And I said, that makes me really nervous. I don't know what I can offer them. What if I don't think I can be full time? This is really scary. And he said, just go have a chat. I've explained your situation.
And so you're probably still at what, late 20s still? Roughly, during that time?
Still, 26. And I said, okay, I'll go have a chat. So I went and had a chat with them, and they were still tiny at this stage. So they were in Moga Lane, which is across the road from where they are.
Okay, yeah.
I think they were maybe about 6 people.
Oh, wow.
Like tiny.
God. Yeah.
And I just had a chat with them both, and I just got this really lovely feeling from both of them, and I explained what had happened and that I wanted to get some more exposure into interiors and architecture. And I don't think I'd even finished the conversation by about 15 minutes, and Steve said, so when are you starting? When are you going to start with us? Can you start next week? I said, but I've got another job. I'm working casually. And he said, that's fine. You can do, why don't you do both of us? You come in a couple of days a week and we'll see where it goes. Yeah. And I think it was a fortnight, and I'd resigned from Hamilton Kennedy and started full-time at Grieve Gillette.
And had that, I guess that fear and, overcoming and building that confidence.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit, how did you refocus? Like, were you still thinking about your career, or were you, cause like that's, I guess it's, I don't know. I came out of my journey and I knew that I loved my job, but I knew that I also needed to be in an environment that was aligned to my values. And it made me, if anything, more driven to really, so I don't know what the future holds, but I just want to achieve as much as I can every single day of the week. Which is probably a bit too intense. I feel sorry for my kids. I'm like, let's go. What's your mindset like now? Like, because I guess you're still on this journey, and I do want to talk through, why also you moved into Cox Architecture and that journey. But I'm just trying to bring it back a little bit, how the steps all aligned.
Yeah. So look, I owe so much to Grieve Gillette. The guys there at the time, I don't think they even had enough work really to even take me on. This is the kind of people that they are. And there was the GFC had just hit, and unfortunately one of their interior designers also was not there because he was battling leukemia.
Oh gosh.
So that was Matt Martin from Detail Studio. Yeah. And so I came in to fill that hole, that great big hole. I don't know how on earth I was supposed to feel like a little graduate, but I was brought in, and they were just so supportive, and they understood that I only had so much capacity. And then it was just me getting more confidence in working again, and even just having confidence in walking around, because I was still trying to, at some point, I'd walk up a hill and I wouldn't be able to breathe. So I'd have to then have the confidence to be able to tell someone, I'm really sorry, but I have to slow down for a second. I just have to slow down, and then not having to explain that to people I used to find it really embarrassing. Now I'm just like, I can't do what you're doing because I have a condition. But that hasn't happened for a long time. But I'm on really good medication now. But they were just really supportive and gave me the foundation of what I think is a great foundation for graduates. And I think that is working for a smaller practice. It's intimate. You are generally paired with a senior person, or at least a mid to senior person who absolutely knows what they're doing, and genuinely has a great relationship with the directors at large. Back then they didn't have associates or anything like that. It was very non-hierarchical, but all of their senior team members were great mates. There was a really good culture there, and they were all about building the team up from bottom up. So I think I was exposed very early on to what that looked like, and what it meant to dig deep and support your leaders as a graduate.
And there's that commercial acumen as well. I think that comes
absolutely.
With that, because you actually get to a bit of a sense of how a business is run. Would you say that, obviously a smaller business, you said it's great to partner as a graduate, and so you can work more directly with the directors, and now you've gone on to Cox, and the business at its peak recently, as you said, it was over 40. 40-ish.
Now it's come back a little bit. Yeah.
Would you still suggest to a someone that's just graduated from uni that they should go to a smaller practice, or would you try and woo them into Cox Architecture and say we're the best?
Look, no. I mean,
selfishly,
I think it's about who you what you want to get out of your career. Like there's two parts to this. So I had no idea what I'd be exposed to by working for a bigger practice. And I was terrified of bigger practice because I don't know why, I was just terrified of these mega
I think people still are, Zoe.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's so big. It's too big for me. And so I wasn't even interested in going to look at Woodsbagger Hassle at the time. It was Woodhead.
Yeah.
Wasn't even interested.
You there, Zoe.
Yeah, I was just like, who was down that lane? And I was about to say GHD. I was like, no, that's who they are. So I wasn't even interested in it. I just thought, it's just too scary. I'm not good enough for them.
Yeah.
That was my mindset. Even though I'd had won awards at university and been a really stellar, knock it out of the park student.
I know what you're saying.
Student, I just didn't have it. I think this is also stupid women thing. You're in your head, I'm not good enough for that. Whereas a bloke probably would have been like, what do you mean I'm not going to go out there? I'm amazing. I can do all these things. Whereas I was like, I've got so much to learn. I've got so much to learn before I ever go there. So I need to learn or be mentored by someone. And I think the best place for me to do that is a smaller practice. So that's just my experience. Mind you, we have plenty of grads working for us and they're awesome.
Yeah.
But I think we're still small enough though.
There is this perception, I think, for people who are coming into the architectural industry that some of the larger architectural practices are probably more transactional style, where everything that, and in my world, I work with the builder and the client-side PM and the developers, and I actually think it's the opposite. There is so much collaboration and there is more of a focus across detail and being innovative and everyone coming together for their ideas. And I think it's also going, each or the larger, they all run very differently. So I think they need to sort of be open-minded. But it comes down to the individual, because someone likes a bit more structure and, the culture and there's a different buzz working in a 40-size business compared to 6. You've got to work out what's really right for you.
Yeah.
So when you joined Cox Architecture, was that when they just had started, like that 3?
I was the second employee.
I was going to say, I think I remember. Were you on Peary Street, the first little office? No, was there another street? Was another one before that?
I think there's been plenty of. We've had plenty of offices. The office that when I joined, we were part of the McDonald office.
Oh wow!
At 22 King William.
So what gave you the confidence to be the number 2 employee? Like what?
So I think Greg Gillette was awesome. It gave, just to go back there for a second, I think as an interior designer, what I gained from being at a smaller practice was that I was exposed to projects like from 2 years out. I was like, this is your project, you need to run it. These are the things what to do. But an architect was teaching me how to do that, and the architect who was actually directing the director of the practice. So I was always worked for both Paul and Steve for different projects, and then insights that I was receiving on a daily basis on how you practice architecture, the business of architecture. I was exposed to from what I don't think you would get exposed to, and I know this. Our graduates don't get exposed to that till they're sort of 5 to 10 years out, that they're seeing that business side of the architecture world. You're just coming in and you're doing the project and you're under a senior associate or an under associate, depending on what the project might be. So I think what I gained from that was then also I had this suddenly like, oh, I've got confidence in what I can actually do here and my ability.
I understand the full process.
And I was then also doing work for family, friends on the side, doing little office fit outs and that sort of thing. And then I thought, actually, I want more. I want more. I now feel like I've got an understanding of what this.
And what was that more though? More when it says the size of the projects or
projects?
Yeah.
I wanted bigger projects. I wanted to be able to do, and again, it was a GFC, so unfortunately there wasn't a heap of projects at the time.
A couple of years out of the GFC.
Yeah. So it was.
And architecture was really hard during that time.
So hard. Really this is like I commend Paul and Steve for keeping us all on, because I don't think we really had enough work at that time.
Yeah.
Like we had little jobs. But that was also really great because there were little interior jobs that I got to run. I was trusted to run them and then taught what the whole process was, which was just invaluable. So then, I don't know, itchy feet, 5 years. I think I know what I think I know what I'm doing. Like, I got this. I actually was toying around, do I start my own practice?
Wow.
And started actually having that conversation with Paul Gillette actually. And he was like, you're not ready. And I was like, I'm going to go to Melbourne. He's like, you're not ready. You need more time.
Yeah.
And then I'd had a couple of sneaky conversations with other people and heard that there was this situation happening at the Oval. And then a friend of a friend spoke to Adam, Hannon,
Yeah.
and said, my friends kind of thinking about moving around. But there was a gap in between this. I went to Zenith and worked for Zenith for like a little period of time. Just wasn't my jam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then Adam and I had a conversation. I think we had a coffee. Then I interviewed, got the job straight away and started working for Cox on the Adelaide Oval. At that time, though, with no surety that it was actually going to happen, because we had to come up with a design, had to be pitched to the whole of SACA members for them to approve it to actually be something. So that there was still this ambiguity around, will I have a job at the end of it?
It's so amazing. So Zoe, like, you know, yes, we're in 2024. You sort of started there in 2010. So 14 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, the growth of the business has been phenomenal. Like when did it start to grow? And I guess, you know, how did you then sort of, I guess, become one of the directors? Like, was it on the case of, well, I was the first, you know, second employee that, hey, this is my this is my job, bugger off, you know, I put my neck out here? Or, you know, how did they identify that you should be one of the directors?
Good question. So, yes, trajectory of our business has been incredibly rapid, but it feels like it's taken a really long time at the same time. I'm tired. So we worked on the Oval 4 years of my life, just dedicated to one project. And this is when I think like what you can learn from a small practice of the business of architecture, so important, set me up for greatness. But then moving to Cox Architecture on such an enormous project with so many different people, again, like this wealth of knowledge, but also project-based, project office with architects, engineers, project managers, the client. We were all together in one spot, and then taking that to site, being on site. Oh, I'll never, ever wish that on my wildest enemy.
I was about to say, wouldn't that have been amazing? No, clearly not.
No, there was moments. It was just really brutal. We were in like a pretty full-on environment. It was like go, 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 go. I think I worked, I don't even want to quote how much overtime I did.
Projects weren't coming around very often, so it was all very new to South Australia during that time as well.
Yeah. And it was a lot, but I loved it because I had, you know, determined, and I had just so much grit to make it work and make sure it was the best we could possibly produce. And I loved it, albeit in a cold or hot, really hot environment on site. It was a lot of fun. But always in the back of my head was like, this company is from Melbourne.
Yeah.
You don't have a job at the end of this. The 4 years is almost over. Like there's a ribbon cutting ceremony really soon. And what are we going to do? So I'd already started like sneakily talking to Hamish Charlie, sneakily talking to Walter Brook, because that's who we were working with. Yeah. Putting my head over other fences. It's like, what am I going to do? Because I had thought once the project was complete that that was done. It. Close the doors, and they'd all go back to Melbourne. Even albeit that Adam was from Adelaide, in Adelaide, I didn't quite know. I wasn't really privy to conversations that were happening. So I just figured, this is it. I'll be moved on, and I'll have to figure it out. However, just before the 2004, I think 2014 ribbon cutting ceremony happened for Adelaide Oval, we were bidding on what was then the new Perth Stadium with Hassel and Cox Melbourne and nationally, now National Group, all going across to bid on this brand new stadium that could happen in Perth. And the directors said, hey, can you go over there and be part of this team and help out and bring this bid to life? Albeit that we're still doing stuff on site. It's really important if you're the interior designer currently working on the most
experience.
Let's go. I was like, okay, sounds good. So went across and did the bid with Hassel and our Perth team and our Melbourne directors bid in, and about 6 to 8 months later, we won it. Yeah.
So you didn't move to Perth though, did you?
No.
So you stayed here, worked on the job from here, and that allowed you to,
I FIFO'd. So it was really great because it meant that, I've got a project to work on. I was also working in New Zealand on Christchurch Emergency Building and other projects around the country, but then was immersed in running the interiors and leading the interiors for the stadium, FIFOing every Sunday to Perth, back on Friday, a day at home, back. And I did that for almost, I think, about a year. to the point where my husband said, okay, just heads up.
Kind of want you here a little bit more.
I've seen you 74 days this year. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he says like, and I think it would be really great if we could get married. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, that'd be good. And he said, so if we're going to get married, then, you know, maybe it would be good if you could be here. So can you start thinking about
what are you going to do here?
What we're going to do? What are you going to, you know, you and Adam have talked about trying to grow the business. He's trying to do it on his own. And that's what, unfortunately, what that was happening was Adam was here by himself with just our very like skeleton crew. We're doing lots and lots of bids, so many bids, not winning projects. I got to a place over there in Perth where I wasn't really happy just mentally. It was taking its toll. I just was constantly jet lagged. It was really hard going from one huge stadium project to another massive stadium project. I actually called Adam in tears one day and said, I can't do this. I'm just like, I don't have anything else to give. And he said, just leave. I said, what do you mean? He's like, just tell them you're leaving and you're going to come back here and we're going to give it a go. And I said, I can't do that. I'm just an associate. I can't pull rank like that. He said, just go and get your suitcase and go. And I was like, okay. So that's what I did. I said, I'm actually just going to go, guys. I'm like, not really feeling it today. And I left and I got on the plane, came back and we had a chat. And we were like, okay, so what are we going to do? Are we going to really do this? We've got to do it. We've got to do it together. So that's that moment and that pivotal moment in my career, I think, where we were like, okay, if we're going to have a practice here and if we're going to have a future, then we've got to do it together. We need to support each other in that. And if we do it and we do it really well, then there's like, this could be really fun. So that was a lunch on Rundle Street, had a chat and we then took it to the directors and said, because they were saying, forget it. You got to work out if you're going to work in Melbourne or you're going to work in Sydney. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to go? And I was like, I don't want to live there. So then I started thinking, okay, here we go. I'm going to have to start thinking about other opportunities. We decided to just put everything into the Botanic High School bid. And I think I worked day and night on that thing until we went through the EOI process. We then won the project and that particular project established the office. But we were still senior associate and associate. Yeah. Did that project, won another couple.
I didn't realise that Adam wasn't already a director at that time when you come over, when you look.
Yeah, no, so we were both associates.
Yeah.
And then had to prove it.
It's so gutsy just to go, no, we're going to back ourselves here and go hard. You've got an amazing relationship with Adam.
Yeah.
You know, was he a mentor? Was he quite influential in your career and then leadership, or was it always seemed like a colleague? Like, how do you work so well together?
Well, it's great. It's a really good question. So we joke about this on the Oval. He was bad, Adam. He was. I mean, look, he was put in the most insane position. He was an associate running a $500 million stadium that the whole state, if not the world, was looking at this development out the back of in a site in a hut, site mentality with builders, with directors that weren't even
like regularly visiting. Yeah.
And
team wasn't a big thing back then either.
Team was not a big thing. It was, neither was, till compensation for any of that kind of stuff. So it was hard. And so he knows that it was bad at him. Like he was just so stressed all the time. And I don't think
How old was he when he had that job? I mean, it's not about him, but I'm actually quite eager to.
I think he's 7 years older than me. So I think he must have been like 41.
Yeah, so that's huge. 42. So much responsibility and weight.
And with
carry.
a really small family as well. So he had a lot of weight to carry. And so he was not the most particularly awesome person to be around at times. But then when the project finished, the stress left and he became the person I had always heard he was as a team leader, and we just clicked. Like we listened to the same kind of music, we have the same kind of interests. We're really different people, really, really different people, different leadership styles, but we've become just really good mates and very honest. Like he's his family, right? Yeah, his family, and so he can call me out on my bad behaviour and great behaviour, and I do the same to him. But I would say he's definitely a mentor for sure.
It's so important to have that alignment with management. You know, I've seen too many businesses where there is multiple managers, but they all think of different things and perhaps different values, and it just causes chaos down the line. So you said you've had different leadership styles.
Yeah.
So what's your leadership style? Like if I went into the office and said, "Tell me how does Zoe lead the team?" What would they say?
Oh, this is I find these kind of questions so hard to answer because I'm like,
great.
I'm not like, I don't, like we said before, I don't have to sit there and go, I've got 5 years of goals and I'm going to like do this and I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm personally still working on my style. I always like to think I have the mirror up. There's a reflection piece that some days I think, oh yeah, I nailed that. And there's other days I'm like, mate, you just really didn't quite say the right thing there.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly trying to improve. But the way in which I've been doing that is through communication. I'm all about transparency as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone can't know everything that's going on in the business, but if we can be as transparent with what we're trying to achieve and be open with our communication, then everyone understands we're in this together and it will be better for it. I like to think that I lead with empathy. I see it for not like, oh, they're there, but I actually try to, well, what's wrong? Are you okay? And if you're not okay and I don't have the skill set to be able to help you, then who can I turn to make sure that I have the skills to give you what you need or point you in the right direction to allow you to be your best on your best day. So I think it's something that I'm still working through and trying to be the best I can be. But
so being a leader isn't easy.
No,
I don't think it's easy. Why, you're now a mum as well.
Yep.
So you're a mum, you've got a husband, you've still got the journey with your health. Why did you want to take on that responsibility and be a leader?
Well, I don't think I ever set out, like we said before, ever set out to do this.
Yeah.
I never sat down and went, I'm going to finish university and then at 5 years from there, I'm going to start at a small practice and I'm going to go to a bigger practice and then I'm going to and then I'm going to be an associate and then I'm going to be a director. I never even thought of being an associate. I didn't even understand what that would even look like.
Which is probably very, very unlike what we see now, where everyone's like, I want to be this by this time, and then in 2 years' time, when's my next promotion? And when
all of that.
So your thinking was different. It was, like I say, you didn't really have much of a plan. You just worked, took an opportunity.
I just wanted to be the best that I could possibly be for the company that I worked for.
Yeah.
And in doing so, and it's not the right way now, and we know that, but I just worked so hard at it every possible facet. There was a goal and that goal was the best for the project. It wasn't about me and my needs and wants. It was like, there's this incredible opportunity to deliver something that's going to shape a city that I can contribute to. And that for me was what I wanted to, that's what I wanted to do. It was like, do that. That was my goal. So
focused on the why.
Just
actually started architecture.
Exactly. And just learn as much as I possibly could from that process and that project. When I was made an associate, it was an absolute shock. I was just like, okay, this is how humbling for starters. It's like I never even had asked or thought about it. How humbling, what is it? And I thought, what does this mean? And John O'Gardner said to me, it means that you can represent us because we see you as the person who can represent us when we're not there. I was like, oh, wow, that's huge. Then I was just like, I represent this company, so that means I need to be on my best every day and I need to make sure that we're producing the best. And that's not always going to happen, but that was my goal. And that's all I thought it was going to be. Associate, cool. Like,
tick,
done this. But then when the opportunity came up to her and, okay, well, if we're going to have a practice here, we need someone to run it. Who's going to run it? Well, the two of you have been doing that naturally. We've won the Botanic High School. We then won Her Majesty's Theatre. We won a bunch of other projects still as associates.
Yeah.
There was a point in time where it was just natural that we would be running the studio.
And it's quite good because you're I guess your management and your leadership has grown organically with the business.
Exactly.
You know, it's gone from, okay, well, now we're managing 5, now we're managing 10, and now 15. Okay, now I've got to manage other people who manage other people.
Yeah.
And you know, implement all the systems.
And that's also really hard, though. I think it's a really good point, Anna, because as we've been growing a business, we've also been learning how to be leaders and be directors. And it is hard. Like, it's really difficult. And as
there's no black book.
No, and as brilliant as it has been to just be on this incredibly fast trajectory, it's also been incredibly difficult, and our families have suffered and our friendships have suffered because we've had to put so much focus on this practice that we were building. And then, you know, staff have suffered as well because it's just this like constant go. So I think even just in the last 18 months, we've had an opportunity just to say, hey, let's just come back and have a look at what we've learnt here. 6 years. We've only been directors for 6 years. Our practice is 60 years old.
Yeah, it's huge.
And our other directors and our other studios have all of that knowledge that they've been holding for that long. We're 6 years old. We're doing a pretty good job to just be 6 years old, to have developed the studio to this point, worked on incredible projects, had incredible opportunities. But you know what? We're actually doing okay.
You're doing really well. Better than well. Wow, I didn't even realise. 6 years. It's amazing. How have you done it? Because I think, you know, you're a working mum.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard. Like, you know, I've just come back from being in the lovely Greece, and even over there, I switched off, but not fully. Like, you're always thinking about, you know, business. Yeah. And, you know, I've got my 2 little rascals, and I know they're always telling me off for being on my laptop or not really being present sometimes. But I run a business, so and I don't like letting my clients or the talent that represent down. How have you managed? Have you switched off? Like, how have you done the balance? And with now, you know, through your career, becoming an associate, now, you know, not only a director, now a director of 30 plus people. How do you do it? And how do you keep your because obviously, you know, I guess exercise would be different for you. And
can't exercise.
So the mental, it can't be just about the bowl of red. Like,
no, really, really, really difficult thing to try and navigate at times. I think I've only just in the last year really started to nail this.
Okay.
However, putting that aside, I have the most incredible human at home, being my husband, who is the best support I could possibly have. So Mike, when the baby situation is a really, you know, crazy story as well, because I was told I couldn't have children. So there's absolutely no way you can have kids. You're 26 years of age, you're going to die. And if you think about future, all the things you ever thought and hoped and dreamed of, and actually, you know what? All I ever wanted to be was a mum.
Oh, wow.
I didn't really ever have career aspirations. I just so badly wanted to be a mum. And to be told at 26, you're never going to have children, ever. Like, it's not like just get it out of your head was probably the hardest thing that I had to come to terms with. But then when I met my specialist, he said, no, don't, like, you can be a mum. There's just going to be a really different way of going about it. We just have to find you a body. I was like, what? He's like, we will get the eggs out of you. We will do all the IVF and we'll make sure we can have that happen. We've just got to find someone to have that baby for you. And I was just like, oh, that's just crazy. Yeah. Anyway, put that out into the atmosphere, and my cousin gave birth to our son.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 6.
So I didn't know any of this.
6 years ago.
I feel like we're going to have another conversation after this. Wow.
Yeah. So we went through a really hard, because surrogacy in Australia is epic. So that was happening as I was being asked to be a director of the practice. So big things happening all at the same time. And it was a lot. I must say it was a lot. But we fell pregnant. Judd is our last embryo.
Oh, wow. He is one special baby.
Yeah, he's one special little kid, and he's now the light of our life. But at that point in time, I don't think we actually really understood what it had done to us emotionally, what it had done to our marriage, all of the things. It was a lot of stress. And Mike said to me, after Judd was born, I hate my job. I hate it. He's in finance. He's like, I don't have the same get up and go. He's like, I watch you and you're like, you skip to work and you enjoy
You're
life.
happy.
You're happy. And even on your bad days, you're actually really still okay. He said, I want that for me too. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? He said, I've got this idea. You could go back to work at 8 months and I could study and just work out what I want to do. And I could be stay-at-home dad. And I was like, okay, this sounds great.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We were like the ultimate modern family.
Yeah.
And he's been a stay-at-home dad
Amazing.
for 5 years now, going on 6. And he's studying and he's so good at it. He's doing so well. But without him at home, cooking the meals, washing my clothes, helping with all of the things, then I would be in a world of pain.
You always need that little. So I've got a yaya. I love my mother-in-law. Is amazing, but it is like I remember when I wanted to return back to work and decided to set up this crazy business that I've done. But my parents really struggled with because they were like, well, you've just been told you've got a 33% chance of surviving the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Why would you go back to work? I already had my children.
Yeah.
They were like, shouldn't you not just be focusing on them, just being their mum? Yeah. And I was like, well, I think if something were to happen, I would want my kids to know that I was me and I was happy. And this is who I am. Like I love business. I like going out. I like doing my hair and my makeup and meeting people. And if I just stayed home, I don't think I would have been completely happy. So I made that decision and said, right, well, it will be what will be. And if that does happen, we'll deal with that at the time. But whilst I'm on this bloody earth, I'm going to show them how happy I can be and live life to the fullest.
I think I can completely relate to that. Especially when you've had sickness, you just think
you do think
it skews
differently.
Yeah, definitely think differently.
So if you had there's a couple of things. I'd love for you to give some advice to people coming into the industry in the world of architecture, interior architecture. But if you had your time again, because there's been so much on your journey, would you have changed anything?
No, not for a second.
So you love being a leader. You love doing what you do and you enjoy the pressures and you take it on and there's nothing that you would...
There's days, Anna, that I think it would be really great if I could just sit in front of Revit, put some tunes on, listen to some heavy metal and just bang out some joinery or listen to some house music and just hang out and just do that for the whole day. There is definitely days I think, oh, gosh, this is a lot. But the enjoyment I get, it's not really about a leader. It's just the enjoyment I get out of seeing us all come together and create something from nothing. I think that's what's so special about architecture and design is that someone comes to you and says, I've got a problem. I want you to help me solve it. Yeah. Here are some words. Here are some pictures. Let's do this. And from that, you then establish something that then is in the world forever, that's built. And it's not just from that moment that you're doing it with the clients, it's the interface you have with your staff, the builders on site, the project managers, everyone that is contributing to something, be that a small little fit out, from a restaurant or a workplace to the Adelaide Ovals, Her Majesty's Theatres. I just get so much from that. And I am so proud of our people and proud of myself. And we just, it's just this like that ultimate rush and ultimate feeling.
Excitement, which is why people want to work for you and Adam. So going back, you had to give advice to someone coming through. Like, what do you think is going to set them up for success? Because a lot of people do now equate success equals leadership, which I don't always agree with that because I think you need to really play to your own strengths, and it doesn't mean, not everyone's going to be a natural good leader. And if you are, then there's sacrifices that you need to do. You're going to have to invest in your learning, have a growth mindset, all of it, that comes with being a leader. But if in their first few years, what foundation should they look to create that's going to set them up to be really good at what they do and to also be known at good at what they do?
I think everyone's in such a rush.
I know.
Everyone's in just like such a rush to get there. I've been doing this for 20 years and I feel like I still don't know what I'm doing. Like there's days that Adam and I are just like constantly,
have you got this? Because
can you come and have a look at this? Because I'm not really sure. And actually Kate and Gianni, who are also a huge support to us and our other associates, but we all sit together and there's a regular I don't know what I'm doing, help us out with this. But don't be in a rush, this like rush of, I've been here for 2 years and when am I going to have this linear process to greatness? It's rock climbing, people. Like it's, this way, that way. You might actually go back down again, and just don't be in such a rush to have all of the things and succeed. I think, unfortunately, society of where we are right now and social media and reality TV and this kind of like lens on society of I have to have all the things and I need them now has created this rush in people to be successful, and they think success is a title. Success is not a title. Success is actually honing your craft, really understanding.
I love that, honing your craft. I'm going to use that. Sorry, I love it.
It is though, like really understanding what you're doing, like making mistakes and going, oh, that sucks. Oh well, pick myself up, figure out how I can make that really sucky moment into something gold, because we can learn from that. But just, really understanding what I'm here to do and what I'm achieving. And that's from the smallest of things. Like for if I'm, putting a fee together to, doing a detail on a project, it's, doing it slowly and doing it really well, doing it once and doing it well, not 25 times and then coming back and back and back. I find it a lot, there's this with, just the way in which the society is. It's like now, I need it now. So people rush through things and there's mistakes through stuff. We're just not giving ourselves enough time. So give yourself time in everything you're doing and say, okay, I've really nailed that part of whatever if I was going to achieve this year, which was detailing, or if I was going to achieve nailing putting finishes together or a beautiful narrative, and understanding that a narrative. Why do we do things with a narrative and putting the meat on the bones, but really nailing many parts and doing it well rather than rushing to be that title at the end of it just so you can tick a box. Because if you're going to rush that process, you will never get to the ticking the box, I've got a title. And if that's all you want, then unfortunately you won't ever get it.
I keep saying to people that really your career should be a journey. Just take your time. No. So Cox, an amazing architectural studio. If someone wants to work with Cox Architecture, what do you look for when people come in for an interview? Like what are some of the things that you want to know about them, or some of the questions that you may ask and key attributes, like any hidden secrets, Zoe?
I don't think any hidden secrets, but I really seek authenticity. I try to bond in that really awkward first interview, second interview moment, and try to really understand who they are. You never can quite get the hang of like who someone is from just a couple of coffee catch-ups. But I really like to, first of all, what do they know about us? Have they done any research? And if they just say, oh, you've done the Adelaide Oval and you did a couple of other these, that's the other, that doesn't quite.
No, not enough.
Not enough for me. I want to, have they understood anything about our values, or do they know anything about Philip Cox, or just a little bit more of the history piece. Do they come across authentically? It's really hard in an interview. I find a lot, people are generally really nervous, so it's so difficult for people to just be themselves. But I find in the second interview, people generally start to warm up a bit. We always want people to join us who are humble. I cannot stand someone who comes in and talks about, I did this on this project and I was the reason for all of the things. Because we know in architecture and design that it's not about the individual, it's about the group, the whole team. It's never an I, it's always a we. And anyone who sits there and talks to me about, I am the most important person, the reason why this project was completed is because of all the things that I did. It doesn't, I end up crossing my arms and going, cool. Good.
And I know that you said that, because of, I guess, what's happened over the last 20 odd years, you don't set yourself goals, you sort of make the most of every single day. But if we could, like, at least the next 12 months, like we're not going to ask the next 5 years, but, when it comes to what you're looking to achieve for, not just for yourself, but for Cox, is there anything that you are striving for? What's next for Zoe?
You know, I'm not a planner. If I can think of it from a studio perspective, we have now established ourselves in this incredible space.
Amazing space.
And we have so much.
I actually couldn't speak when I walked in. I was like lost for words. I was like, I don't even know where to look, what to say. It was just so different to what I expected. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and again, like we did that with our people.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, from the heart, I think there's so many opportunities from that space that we're going to be able to, you know, piggyback from and off. So we've created that space, Kamunka, which is about coming together.
Yeah.
And that was not just created because of we wanted a spot for our Monday morning all-ins and our quiz mid-year parties and get-togethers. Is actually about bringing industry in and having the community come in. So we're really I'm looking forward to setting up our studio as a bit of a, you know, honeypot for other things other than architecture. Yeah. So bringing, you know, yourselves in for talks, and we'll have Archibubs in November where there's going to be all the little babies all wiggling around on the ground, and, you know, supporting families and parents, and really using our space as a way in which to open up the doors and let everyone see what we do, and that includes others in the industry, from architects and designers. I really think it's important that we share our war stories and share what we're trying to achieve, because we're all, again, here trying to do a difference. Yeah, make a difference.
Yeah, that's amazing. Zoe, I feel like there could be a 2.0, but I don't know if you'll ever come back onto the podcast, but I have loved every minute, and thank you so much for being so honest and vulnerable with letting us into your life. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you haven't planned over the next 2 to 5 years.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank
all
you.
the best.